Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is swear. Let's take a look at some of the definitions or ways that we can use this verb. The first way you might hear the verb swear used is to mean to make a solemn statement or promise. Now, when I think of this particular definition, I think of TV shows, movies where someone is in a courtroom and someone is going to share their experience or testify, and they might be asked to put their hand up and say, someone will say to them, I should say, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So essentially that's, do you promise? And that would tie into this definition. A second way you might hear the verb swear used is to mean to take an oath. And this definition is largely why I picked this verb for today. You might have heard of a new president taking an oath of office, and we'll look a little more closely at some examples that connect to this meaning later. A third way you might hear the verb swear used is to mean to say or use offensive language. Typically, this is expressing anger. And I know some of my students have told me that they watch these videos with their kids, so I'm not going to give you any examples, but I think curse words, swear words are unfortunately pretty common in many languages, and I'll let you use your imagination with that. You should know that swear is an irregular verb. If I want to make the progressive tense, I'm going to add ing to form swearing. But the past tense has a completely different spelling. It's swore, S-W-O-R-E, and then the participle form is sworn, S-W-O-R-N. And I know I tell students many times how hard it is to memorize and learn all of these irregulars that exist in English. And I'm going to point out a trick that I've used with some students to kind of help them. If you can group words or verbs that have sort of similar treatment. So if you look at this word and cover up the S, you'll see the verb wear. And what you're seeing in the past tense form and the participle form is the same thing. So the verb wear becomes wore, becomes worn. So if you can memorize those two together, they follow the same pattern. That might be one way to kind of help you memorize that. Now let's take a look at some phrasal verbs with swear. The first one we're going to look at is swear by. And it has kind of an unusual meaning, but someone is expressing that they have great confidence in something or that they rely on a particular thing. So let's look at an example. My best friend swears by this new product. So sometimes we hear this when it comes to cooking and food, and so someone has really great confidence. This particular spice or ingredient just makes the dish so much better. But you also hear it in connection to health, beauty, wellness, where maybe there's a particular product, a vitamin, something that someone has very great confidence in is having a positive impact, again, on their health or their wellness, or perhaps they think it makes them look more beautiful. The second phrasal verb is likely something you have heard a great deal if you are living in the United States now or are following the events in the United States this week. So to swear someone in means that someone is taking an oath to hold a public office. And this happened just yesterday, and that's going to be in our example sentence. Chief Justice John Roberts swore President Biden into office yesterday. So again, much like you might see in a movie or television show in a courtroom, President Biden stood up, raised his hand, and repeated sort of a series of promises to uphold the Constitution, protect the United States. The last phrasal verb we'll look at is to swear off. And this means that someone is promising to stop doing something. Usually that's something that's kind of harmful or negative. Let's look at an example sentence. He swore off drinking after the accident. So now this sentence is rather vague. We don't know what kind of accident, but could be car or auto accident where someone's like, okay, that's it. I am never drinking again. Now let's continue practicing using our verb of the day in a couple different tenses. Today we'll look at the simple past tense and the simple present. Let's start with the past tense. Remember, with this verb, we're describing a completed action that occurred at a definite point in time. Sometimes it's stated in the sentence, right? Just in our previous example with President Biden, right? We noted yesterday. But sometimes it's not stated in the sentence because it's understood as part of a conversation or as part of a longer text or passage. To make an affirmative sentence in the simple past tense, I'm going to use my irregular form of swear, which is swore, and I'm going to use this form no matter what my subject is. Okay, so here is an example sentence. Justice Sotomayor swore in Vice President Harris on January 20th. This was also part of the ceremony or the inauguration. If I want to make a negative simple past tense sentence, I'm going to use did not and then the base verb. So I'm not using the irregular in the negative. Here's an example sentence. He didn't swear at me. Now, this usage would be an example of using offensive words. Okay? Finally, if I want to make a yes or no question in the simple past tense, I'm going to start with did, then I'll have my subject, and then the base verb. So again, we're not using the irregular form in a yes or no question. Here's an example sentence. Did the witness swear an oath? Now let's take a look at the simple present. We use this to describe habits and routines. We also use it to describe facts. The trick to the simple present is looking at your subject. If the subject is I, you, we, or they, then just use the base verb. But if your subject is he, she, or it, we're going to add an S to the end of the verb, and you'll see that in the example sentence. The style blogger swears by this shampoo. So again, this particular individual relies on this shampoo. You might say, this is the best one, it makes my hair look wonderful, it has great confidence in that particular item. If I want to make a negative sentence in simple present, again, I need to pay attention to my subject. If my subject is I, you, we, or they, we're going to use do not in the base verb. But if the subject is he, she, or it, then we are going to use does not and then the base verb. You might hear native speakers use the contractions don't or doesn't. Here's an example sentence. They don't swear at others. So again, this is that offensive language usage. Finally, if I want to make a yes or no question in the simple present, I'm going to start with do or does, then I'll have my subject, and then the base verb. Does the bailiff swear in all the witnesses? Bailiff is a specific job title or job that is present in most U.S. courtrooms, and they have many responsibilities. This would be one of them, to, again, make sure the witness is promising to tell the truth. Now, let's take a look at some words that are related to our verb of the day, swear. And the first thing we're going to take a look at is the noun form of this word. So, same spelling, same pronunciation. Here, the noun is going to tie back to the third meaning of the verb that we looked at earlier. So, as a noun, a swear is an offensive word. So, you might hear someone, particularly a teacher, say something like, no swear words in my classroom. Right? So they're saying these are not allowed. Don't use this type of offensive language. The last thing we're going to look at today is a phrase. And it might seem kind of funny. It's swear up and down. And when someone uses this phrase, they are saying that someone is really sort of insisting very strongly and sincerely. They are telling the truth, or they are telling everything if they're being asked, is that all? Right? So let's look at an example of this. She swore up and down that there weren't any scratches on the car when she returned it. Right? This might be an example of perhaps a teen scratches somehow. Maybe there's a little missing paint on the car, and parents are asking, hey, did you hit something? Did you run up against something? Where did these come from? It was fine. There were no scratches when I finished driving. And they're probably very insistent that they are telling the truth, and that is it. So, and they might be telling the truth. It doesn't necessarily imply they aren't. It's really just noting how strongly they are saying or suggesting whatever information it is that they're sharing. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.